But you only get this many famous people together if the issue's
one that truly matters to all of us.
A disease or
ecological crisis or
a racist, abusive coward who could permanently damage the fabric of our society.
Do the math. Do we really want to give nuclear weapons to a man whose signature move is firing?
Firing things?
But we can end this nightmare before it begins.
We can save the day.
Joining us now is Chuck Woolery, a man who spent many years in Hollywood. Chuck, I look at this, and the first thing I think is I can't wait to vote Big Orange in November. I'm serious. This has got to put people off. This has got to have a counterproductive effect.
Well, I'm not sure it has a counterproductive effect. However, when the cultural Marxists of Hollywood get together in their sheep pen, I mean, it's true. It's like they all follow each other because they're afraid not to do anything else. I guarantee you, I don't know a lot of these people. In fact, I'm not sure I know any of them. However, I know the culture. I lived there 45 years. I know what it's like. You do it for one reason. One is you want to work. The other is, it's not important to know anything as long as someone has a teleprompter in front of you to give you the lines to say.
Which is what that looks like when you watch this commercial. You know, Tucker said something interesting last week, and he said, you asked the question, I wonder how many people are voting for Donald Trump just because if they're on, you know, trying to make that decision because they're trying to go against the media, against the Washington elite, against the Hollywood elite. And you look at this commercial, how many folks are going to say, well, this is exactly why I'm going to prove a point to vote Donald Trump?
Yeah, there's got to be kind of a backlash against this, and it's really, I think, probably what Trump's candidacy is all about, and we all know that. But it's a massive backlash against this PC, which, you know, no one knows where this stuff came from. It just kind of, PC just kind of appeared. Well, it didn't. It was the Frankfurt School. That's where it appeared, and the Frankfurt School, it's a real interesting little piece. Frankfurt School was in Germany, obviously, brought on PC. Marx picked it up, thought it was a great idea for his government. By the Second World War, Hitler was such an anti-communist that the Franklin School had to move, so the Frankfurt School, so they moved here to the Columbia University campus. You will find the Frankfurt School on Columbia's property.
Oh, interesting.
That's where political correctness came from. I like the history of all of this stuff so that I understand what's happening today. I want to know who my enemy is. Our enemy is cultural Marxism. And that's with Hollywood, with everything.
Speaking of history, there's some water under the bridge with Senator Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. I was a Cruzy. You were a Cruzy. Yeah. You're a Texas guy.
I am.
The news this week that Ted Cruz is throwing his support behind Donald Trump, did you fall off your chair?
No, it's about time, really. I was very disappointed in, I don't know Ted Cruz. I've never met him. But he's a very principled conservative, which I find, you know, assuring to me. But I was very disappointed in how he handled the convention and his speech there, even though I know he said vote your conscience and everything else. It's not that I wanted him to get on board and become a pom-pom girl. It wasn't that. It's just that it was over. Acknowledge the fact that it's over and move on.
Is there anything that concerns you with Donald Trump as someone that is supporting him? You know, a lot of people say that some things he says can come across as respectful. What
He's a populist. I fear one part, which is a kind of a Hoover element, which is the tariffs. You know, Hoover was the last businessman we had as a president, and Donald Trump will be the next if he's our president. And the idea of tariffs frightens me because I think that kind of helped lead into the Great Depression that we were in, and just the opposite with Coolidge. I'm a historian. I like to go back in history and find out who did it right and who did it wrong, and then say, well, why don't we do it right again, or why are we doing it wrong?
But so Trump is, of course, a populist, and populism does raise certain concerns. The people who've arrayed against him, though, are the opposite of populists. They're elitists.
Right.
So if you were to divide, you know, look at which is a bigger threat to the way we live, populism or elitism?
I go with Trump on this one. I have to go with Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump. I will support Donald Trump. And I will pray that Mike Pence will have a great impression on Donald Trump and make him more conservative. And the problem is, we get back to this with a history of all of this. People don't even understand what the word conservative means anymore. Right. They don't understand what the word progressive means. They don't understand what liberal means. They just say, oh, you look like and you act like and you talk like, you must be a liberal.
You know where they can find out? Blunt force truth. a podcast that Clayton has endorsed. Clayton's a big podcast guy. He says it's awesome.
I love it. And last time we talked about it on the show, it skyrocketed to #1. It's a fantastic podcast. Chuck hosts it. You've got to go and listen to it. Download it on iTunes right now. Blunt Force Truth. Tell us quickly what's it about.
It's about deconstructing the news and looking at the history of our politics and how it's affected our country, and we have a lot of guests on who are pretty interesting. It's fun to do.
Awesome. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
All right.